The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
The absolute worst.
What's the name of the group, Mike? We'll say hello to them.
It's called TNP RP.
Okay. Well, hello.
The North Pacific, it's run out of nation states. So
right.
it's the TNP group in nation states. So.
All right. Well, hello to that group. I'm not going to try to repeat it again. And thanks for tuning in. We'll try to do a good job for you tonight.
We've got a lot to talk about. I mean, Pro Bowl, I guess, is going to take up, like, we got to do extensive Pro Bowl recap.
Did the NFC ever score a point?
Here's what happened. I did not watch a minute of it while it was on ESPN. But what happened was I got tricked. Because after the Super Bowl marathon that they were running on NFL Network, they switched to the Pro Bowl. And I'd been gone for a while.
Which, by the way, was awesome. I think I had more fun watching that Super Bowl marathon than I would have if I had watched the Pro Bowl. Like,
oh, absolutely. It's just so much fun, especially to go back to like the early ones. And like I said to you, Mike, when we were talking on the text, NFL Films makes football so much better than it really is.
Watching an NFL Films highlight special is like watching a Rocky movie where you come out of a Rocky movie being like, I'm going to give boxing a shot, and then you realize that it's like not anywhere as exciting. Right,
exactly. And one thing I noticed when I was watching, I think it was like Super Bowl 12 or whatever, I'm watching it, and so I thought, okay, I want to pay attention to how they really do this. And I'll bet you they didn't show 12 plays in the entire thing. I'm not kidding you. It was just all narrative and just cool shots and a play here and a play there. And I went, they really don't even show that much action. Like if they have,
makes it seem like they do.
I know, but if they have a really great shot of a pass or a completion or whatever, they'll show you 5 different angles of it with the ball spinning in slow motion and.
Dun, 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 dun,
and then the music, it just makes football 10 times better than it really is. Like, if I could just watch NFL Films recaps of every game every week, I don't even know if I'd bother.
You know what, NFL Network, you should do that. Like, get NFL Films on the line, and, like, just do it as, like, 1 week as an experiment. Give each game the NFL Films treatment and show that as highlights the Tuesday after or the Wednesday after, and see how it goes. I'd be down to see how that played out.
Yeah, and I think too that they were at their absolute zenith in probably from the mid '70s to about the mid '80s. I mean, they're still great. There's no question about it. They're still the gold standard of sports highlights, but. That was when they were at their very best, I think, because early on they were still kind of finding their way. And then when they found it, they really hit the sweet spot for a while. But then it started getting MTV started popping up. The cuts started getting shorter and things like that started happening. And it's still great, but nothing will ever top like the heyday of the 10-year stretch from the mid-'70s to the mid-'80s.
I don't know what it was. It's a combination of the music and, honestly, the guy they get to, narrate those old specials. It's like that voice. I don't even know the dude's name. I just call him, the NFL Films voice guy.
John Facenda is his name.
The man is a freaking...
Yeah.
The man's a treasure.
You know what he was before that? He was a newsman in Philadelphia. Steve Sable just liked the sound of his voice, so he asked him if he'd try it. The guy didn't even know football that well at all. He would just read the scripts. It's just amazing. I love NFL Films. That would be my dream job, would be an editor at NFL Films. God, that'd be the greatest thing. But to get onto the show, I suppose, while I was watching the NFL Films marathon, I had a revelation of sorts.
Oh.
Because, I'm old school, and I talk about how defenses were tougher. They changed a lot of the defensive rules for defensive backs and stuff in the late 70s or mid-70s or whenever and all that. And yet somehow, the game has managed to flourish. But the one thing I noticed, I think the biggest obstacle that NFL players have overcome from that era to this one is that they somehow, back then, with all the other obstacles, this I think was the biggest one of them all. They managed to play football with jerseys that had sleeves. I don't know how they did it.
Right?
I don't know how they did it. I don't understand why sleeves became an issue because these guys were all pretty good, back, I mean, if you go way back to like the first few Super Bowls, they had those 3/4 length sleeves they were wearing. What's the problem here?
It's the funniest thing whenever this topic comes up and you get people who go like, oh, the new the new jersey cuts are so much better. You know, players don't have to worry about like people grabbing their sleeves. I'm like, this wasn't a problem for most of football's history.
It's never been a problem. I mean, I watched the 49ers put 55 points up on the Broncos in a Super Bowl, and they all had sleeves. Didn't slow them down a bit.
Can we then assume that had they not been burdened by sleeves, it would have been 100 points?
Probably, yeah, I would guess. Plus, with the new Nike jerseys and stuff, they would have been at least 4 or 5% faster.
Oh yeah, I mean,
this was back. Now remember, this was back in the day when everybody had their own uniform suppliers. So let's say that the 49ers were wearing Nike, and they were like 5% faster without sleeves, and poor old Denver's wearing Champion with sleeves, the heavier fabric. Oh my God, it could have been 200 to 10. It would have been terrible. It just drives me nuts because it looks so much better. And I'm not saying go back to the 3/4 length sleeves or anything like that, but come on. It's just such a better aesthetic overall for the whole football uniform to just have a sleeve on the damn jersey.
Would you ever want to see the Doug Flutie Boston College look ever again?
Was that?
What, you mean the mesh?
The Eagles wore those mesh jerseys in the 1980 Super Bowl. And Super Bowl, was that 16, 15? I don't remember, but they had those mesh jerseys.
Is that the one where they lost to the Raiders?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, I really like those Eagles uniforms with like the million sleeve stripes.
Yeah, I thought they were cool too.
I just thought they were neat.
Yeah. Well, that was nice thing too.
No one has sleeves anymore, so you couldn't fit all that striping in. But I thought it was a cool look.
And I was thinking about this too while watching. I don't think there was a bad uniform in the NFL until when? I mean, who was the first team that really had I think the Broncos pretty much started the whole thing.
I was going to say, this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I'd say in '97 when the Broncos switched to their current look, that was the first, bad.
I think people would say that because at the time people hated those original Buccaneers uniforms.
But the creamsicles?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they still had a good flow or whatever to them or whatever, but they weren't. I liked them. I thought they were cool, but
yeah, they were still traditional football uniforms.
Yeah, but I know the argument now is that they all looked alike back then. To a certain extent, that's true. I mean, everybody had pant stripes and but I just think it looked so much better. But some of the uniform matchups, like Miami and Minnesota,
or I guess the only one that stands out in terms of uniform elements probably would have been the ram horns on the sleeves, right?
Yeah, I remember
ram horn on the sleeves, and then later, a bit later on in the '80s, the Bengals.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Which is actually kind of just the same concept as the ram horns.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it makes sense that the Rams would kind of be the innovators in putting something new on the jerseys because they were the first ones to put the decals on the helmets.
They made a big deal out of those uniforms when they switched to those and whatever. I got it was probably 71, 72?
Yeah, the 70s.
Great
Speaking
helmet.
of, can I get on a soapbox for just a second when it comes to these jerseys? It's bugging Rams fans all across Southern California, across the world, wherever you want to.
Whoa. There are Rams fans in California? I have it on the authority of very smart people that no one in LA cares about the Rams.
The Super Bowl send-off rally was to capacity. They denied 3,000 people at the door.
Why does it bother people so much that the Rams have fans? Why are they so hell-bent and determined? Well, I know. No, it's out there everywhere. You hear it all the time.
It's a lot of people. There was a Boston sports radio host on Twitter when the Patriots were having their rally in Eastern Standard Time at 10 a.m. And they had 35,000 people at Gillette Stadium or whatever. And this radio guy goes, I guess the Ram fans didn't show up. And it's like, dude, it's 7 a.m. Our thing is until noon. What are you talking about?
I understand if you think they're not the best fan base or whatever, but there are people that are out there that are that it actively bothers them.
It's because they don't want to be wrong.
Well,
because they said when these teams move back to LA, well, LA doesn't care about football. They don't need it. And now that we've shown that people actually kind of give a damn, they don't want to be wrong is part of the problem.
Well, anyway, but yeah, back to your jerseys. Go ahead.
So the jerseys the Rams will be wearing in the Super Bowl, they are officially the home uniform. They are not the throwbacks anymore.
Oh, good.
And when it comes to merchandise, you would think the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, you want to gear up, get ready for the game, get something with a Super Bowl logo on it. The jerseys that the Rams will be wearing in the Super Bowl, the royal blue and gold, are not for sale.
At all?
any of the merchandise places, whether it's the Rams shop, the NFL store, any of the official accredited merchandisers of the NFL, the only jerseys available with the Super Bowl patch are this year's white jerseys and the Navy jerseys.
I saw the Navy jerseys in last week's show. At the end of the show, we were talking about it. And you could buy what's essentially the St. Louis Rams jersey, their home jersey, with the Super Bowl 53 patch on it. I thought, well, that's the dumbest damn thing I've ever seen.
We are 6 days away from the Super Bowl right now. And you can still not purchase the jersey that they are wearing in this football game.
That's weird.
Supposedly they'll be available on Wednesday if you go up to the Coliseum or to the makeshift team store in Century City. But like for somebody like me that lives all the way down here in Orange County, I'm not going to take a day trip up to LA just to maybe go buy a t-shirt or a jersey or something. Like that's way too much of an inconvenience.
But see, this is what I don't understand about this whole thing with these jerseys. It's been established pretty much from the day they came back that the throwback, now home jersey, is the most popular of the bunch.
Right.
So you would think that would be the one that they would put all the emphasis on, and there would be absolutely no reason whatsoever to put out the St. Louis home jersey with the Super Bowl patch on it, because who's going to buy that? The throwback jersey is the most popular one. And like, if you look in the stands, that's what everybody's wearing. And to not have any of these is just weird to me. I don't get what the problem was or why they would make such a mistake. And then to sell the other ones that are basically St. Louis jerseys.
They had a C.J. Anderson navy blue jersey on there.
He hasn't worn that as a Ram.
He hasn't and will never wear that jersey as a Ram.
Yeah.
Even if he comes back next year.
I wonder how much Fanatics has to do with this, because I have not liked the merchandising since Fanatics has taken over.
MLB, NHL, NFL, Fanatics is just the war. I hate them.
I will give them credit for this, and this is something that you guys don't care about, but the one thing that did go up in quality once they took it over was the NASCAR license stuff. Because it used to be, call somebody up on the phone and go, hey, I want a license now. Okay, go ahead, do whatever you want. And there was no quality control over it whatsoever.
Can we talk about Louisiana's constant state of kvetching? Jesus Christ, Louisiana, get your shit in order. Just let it go.
Yeah.
I don't know. If there is one thing I am sick and fucking tired of, it is this. Like we talked about last week when we talked about the game itself. I had sympathy for the Saints fans. I did.
Yeah.
It sucked. That was terrible. And it was a bad call, and yeah, your team should have won and all that. But as the week has gone on, oh boy, do I not have any sympathy for these idiots.
No. Between
the lawsuits and congressmen and senators and the governor.
The government shut down, and, Congress and the president can't get on the same page. But let's waste time talking about a bad call in a football game.
They're literally in the government shutdown trying to figure out how to get this country back working. And the Louisiana senator brings to the floor a blown up photo of the pass interference call. And the blown-up version of the New Orleans newspaper.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
I thought it was photoshopped when I first saw it. I thought, this can't possibly be real.
Exactly.
But it is.
I saw it on Twitter, and so I was like, oh, haha, funny joke by the Twitter people. And it's like,
is this an Onion article or something? But yeah.
No, this is a screenshot from C-SPAN 2 of what's going on the Senate floor. I just said, this is beyond absurd at this point. Beyond absurd.
It's like how do we get this country working again? I don't know, but let's talk about this because my football team lost.
I have a question for
I gotta find it, but the NFL today got the case moved from state court to the federal fucking court today. There was going to be a ruling on it today about a collusion call in the NFL based on refereeing, and it's like, what is going on?
Oh my god!
That's right.
What are they going to
call? Yeah, but this is nobody's ever gone to this extent. Like,
what do they hope to achieve with this? Is my question.
They were trying to get the game replayed essentially from that point and get them to reinstate that rule, but it's like if they didn't do it within the first 5 hours of this thing happening. They're certainly not going to do it the Monday of Super Bowl week.
No.
And can I just say, like, this whole thing has just made the Saints fan base look nothing but a bunch of, like, entitled, like, children. Like, this is what you look like, Saints fan base. It's like, look, was it a bad call? Yeah, but you know what? Bad calls fucking happen. My team's been on the receiving end of them. Everyone's team has been on the receiving end of them. And while it sucks, it's just like, yeah, it sucks, but you move on. You don't throw a hissy fit over it.
Well, I'll even allow you a hissy fit, but you can't sue people and you can't waste time in the United States Senate.
Or the federal court system.
You can holler and scream about it, and everybody agrees. No one's arguing the fact that it's a bad call. We were all on your side, and then you took it a step too far when you decided to do all this. Did anybody see that stupid video that some fans put out? It's like a rap video, and I don't know. It's really dumb.
I don't need to see Saints fans rapping. I can just tell that would be cringe.
But I don't know what they hope to achieve. I mean, what's the lawsuit going to do? They're not going to replay the game. You can't set that precedent. You just can't do it. Even if you want to even look at it like it's even a possibility, you can't set that precedent. It was a bad call. They got screwed, yes. But you know what? I can think of the Houston Oilers got screwed really bad in one year when they played the Steelers in the NFC Championship. That's the way it goes. The 49ers in 83 got screwed like 3 straight times on these ridiculous interference calls that basically put the Redskins in the Super Bowl. Come on. It happens. That's the way it goes.
And honestly, you know what's funny about this? The call, of course, going against the Saints and for the Rams, but all this bitching about the call afterwards has kind of galvanized the Rams fan base together because Saints fans have gone after in particular, Saints fans went after Andrew Whitworth, who's the lineman for the Rams, was with the Bengals for a very long time, but he grew up in Louisiana, won high school state championships in the Superdome, won a national championship with LSU in the Superdome. So he's a native son of Louisiana through and through, but he was on, I think, the Rich Eisen show, and he basically said, like, to say that they lost the game because of that is just an excuse. And to, like, for people to be still kind of complaining about it, like, yes, it was a terrible call, and we all acknowledge that, but it's not anything in our hands. So, like, stop getting on us about it. Like, you guys still blew a 13, all the things that we said, blew a 13-0 lead, misplayed. And the best part was, I was, today, one of the NFL media accounts put out, a mic'd up, highlight package of the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And one of the guys that was mic'd up was Drew Brees. And after that big touchdown pass or not a touchdown, but long pass down the sideline to Ted Ginn that set them up for this play, he goes over to the sideline, and you can hear Sean Payton through the microphone saying, like, hey, we're not just going to waste 55 seconds to kick a field goal. We're going to try and score a touchdown right now.
There you go.
And, of course, all of them are like, hell yeah, let's do it. And, sure, when you're in your pumped-up adrenaline mode, all that sounds good. But they threw away the chance of the game because they wanted to go for it and put them in a situation where something could happen.
Something happened.
It's an interception or a bad call or what have you. You don't expect that a blatant PI is going to be missed. But because you were putting yourself in the position of trying to throw the ball down the field still, ask the fucking Atlanta Falcons how that works. When you're in position to win the game and you don't just use the winning strategy, you say, nah, let's keep going for it.
Mike brought it up last week that Sean Payton made a bunch of terrible calls after that play. And
yeah, he did.
But all this was coming from Andrew Whitworth. Again, a guy from Louisiana and all that, and all these Saints fans start berating him and his wife on social media because his wife's a kind of a firecracker. She'll tweet stuff that's kind of incendiary sometimes, and then it's like they got called out by some Louisiana columnist, and it's like, and they're like, we donate hundreds of thousands of dollars to the state and scholarship funds for the state and all this sort of stuff. And they're being attacked because they happen to be on the wrong end of a bad call for the other team. And so Rams fans have all kind of galvanized to say, this is all stupid. This is dumb. We don't feel bad for your sorry asses anymore. We are so happy we're going to the Super Bowl. Screw you guys, and I hope you never win again. And it's gotten, as I said, to the point of absolute ridiculousness.
Well, yeah, they just need to grow up. It happens. I'm trying. What was it, the 80 something or other World Series? There was a blown call that cost the Cardinals a world championship, basically. If they get that out, they win the game, and the series is over in 6. But there was a bad call that when the game went 7, the Royals ended up winning. In hockey, well, God, the Brett Hull goal in the, what was it, 99?
Yeah.
Stanley Cup, was it finals against the Sabres?
99.
Yeah.
Sabres Stars. Yep.
Yeah. Come on.
Interesting thing. Apparently, so they had the Louisiana lawyer who filed the suit. And the NFL had lawyers in court today in the U.S. District Court.
Oh, Jesus.
Right.
Get this.
Right, it got bumped up from state court to federal court because the federal court agreed there might be some home cooking with the judges in Louisiana over this thing.
Yeah, you think?
But get this. Morgan, the judge, expressed confusion over just what the plaintiffs were seeking and on what grounds they were still standing to sue.
Right. I mean, what do you hope to get out of this?
Like essentially going, why are we here?
The best thing you can hope for is that some court agrees that it was a bad call. Well, guess what? Everybody already agreed it was a bad call. The only thing that you can get out of this is for everybody to go, yeah, you got screwed. But there's nothing else that can be done about it. I mean, just grow the fuck up.
Viewed by legal analysts as a wild long shot to succeed, the lawsuit seeks redress from the NFL and Commissioner Roger Goodell over mental anguish, emotional trauma, and economic loss plaintiffs suffer.
Oh, brother. Spare me. Spare me.
Your team lost a fucking football game. All right, I'm a Chargers fan, man. Like, you guys lost a playoff game? Boo freaking who? That's like, what happened to you guys in the NFC title game, Saints fans? That's my ultimate best case scenario I can hope for as a Chargers fan. All right.
I liked it. Was it Adam Schefter?
I would love to be screwed in the championship game.
I would have loved. First of all, it meant that we made it that far. It means we somehow got
came that close. We were 2 minutes away. Shit.
We were 2 minutes away from the Super Bowl, guys. Woo! Successful season.
Was it Adam Schefter, I think, tweeted? He said that between the game, the Minneapolis Miracle last year, and then these are the two most devastating back-to-back playoff losses ever. And somebody wrote, you're about to hear from a whole bunch of Cleveland Browns fans. Because, I mean, come on. Not only that, but you've got a Super Bowl already. So you don't get to whine like this, you know.
Let me tell Mr. Scheffner about what it's like to be a Los Angeles Chargers fan who had to watch his team lose 2 straight playoff games because of, Nate Caden can't kick a fucking field goal.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The drive, the fumble, you really think that fucking game is going to – come on, it's not even close. Well, and the thing is, you shot your own foot off. It's so sorry. I don't feel bad about that. Look, I get it. I really do. I understand how frustrating it must be for Saints fans, but we said it last week. As usual, we were ahead of the curve on this, but they did it to themselves. And then the mic'd up thing proved it. We're going to go for it. We're not just going to blow 55 seconds. We're going to score. Well, you know what? Maybe you should have gone the conservative route and not fucked around, and you'd be okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, 13-point lead that you blew.
Yep.
And then Drew Brees, who, all this season I had to hear from Saints fans claiming Drew Brees is better than Tom Brady. All right. First of all, Tom Brady and Drew Brees both had the same opportunities in their respective conference championship games. They both had the ball in overtime. Tom Brady marched the ball down the field and got it done for his team. Drew Brees threw a fucking interception to a guy falling on his ass. So, even granted that you blew a 13-point lead, as a team, they still had every opportunity to win that game.
Right.
So spare me, Saints fans. Get over yourselves. And you know what? I am over this sense of entitlement that they seem to have as a fan base that I have noticed them having since the Bounty Gate incident. Like, I've been over the Saints since Bountygate, but this just reaffirms every negative thing I had about that team. Like, you're just a bunch of entitled whiners. Jesus Christ, let it go.
Yeah, well, you know what I think?
Piss off New Orleans. Like,
that'll teach them to wear those fucking horrible mono black uniforms in an important game. I'm just saying.
I just the fact that Super Bowl media day is today, and this is still somehow a story that they're probably going to get asked about all night. It's ridiculous.
I just don't know what they hope to achieve out of this. We already all agree. Hell, the Rams agree it was a bad call. We all do.
I just love that story going, the judge was confused as to what was going, like, why? What are we doing here?
Well, it doesn't really make you look like a classy fan base either. I mean, yes, you got screwed, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to stand up and take your screwing and be done with it. And that's what a good fan base would do.
You can get screwed, and then you can be mad, and you can resent the Rams for the rest of the time.
Not the Rams' fault.
But like, if they were just complaining, like, "Oh my God, this sucks, we got screwed," fine. But it's the lawsuits. It's even the billboards. I think are okay because that story goes away after a day because they can't afford to keep paying for them. So but the lawsuits and the congressmen and the Senate and just all this stuff where it's just spiraled to this larger than life thing
in the middle of a government shutdown. It's like, this is what we're wasting time on.
See, this is what I was saying, Mike, before. I still, it amazes me that you didn't walk into this country and go, yeah, never mind, and turn around and walk right back out.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I would just be like, yeah, like that meme.
Is this like normal for you people, or
that GIF you see all the time of Grandpa Simpson?
Grandpa Simpson
walk in and then just walking in bed. That's what I think of when with this. But
well, Mike, again, this is the country that a woman spilled coffee on herself and got $10 million for it or whatever because she was unaware that coffee could be hot. Because
is this America, land where anything is possible?
Yeah, unfortunately, and that's the thing. When anything is possible, then a lot of crazy shit can happen too. My question to Saints fans: okay, if with all this indignation and all the problems they have with all this, let's turn the tables. Let's say that call happens, it's the exact opposite. The Rams get screwed like that. Well, these Saints fans that are so up in arms, are you going to turn around and go, hey, you know what? We're going to give it back because we don't deserve it. Fuck no, you're not. So shut up. Yeah. You're not going to say, you know what? We didn't deserve to win this game, so we're not going to go to the Super Bowl. We're going to let the Rams go in our place. Not one fan would have done that. And so until that happens, they could just shut their mouths because this is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
I gotta look at the schedule. I think there's always like those teams that are. Let me see. I'm gonna find it. I think these teams are probably gonna play again next year because of the way that the first place teams go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Well, while you're on that,
the Rams are indeed hosting the Saints next year. So here you go, Saints. If you're really so steamed at the fucking Rams, you can come into our house and beat us if you really want to pay us back for it. And then, hey, because both these teams don't look like they're going away, maybe we play in the playoffs again, and then you can try to beat us then. Like, you can do it on the field in the normal ass way. Just get your revenge out next year and get over it. There's more football to be played, and sorry, you're just not a part of it.
Well, I remember the Fail Mary play, Seahawks Packers.
Yeah.
Packers ended up losing that game. It essentially cost them home field, and they had to go to Seattle for the NFC Championship. I mean, I don't remember anybody filing a lawsuit or pitching a bitch about it for the whole season. It was just like, well, that's the way it goes. You get screwed sometimes. Like I said, I think we were texting. I said, if you don't want this to happen, don't put the game in the hands of the officials. Don't blow a 13-point lead, and you don't have to worry about it. If you're up 21 at that point, who gives a shit if it's a bad call, whatever? You still got a 21-point lead. When I hear that they were talking like, no, we're going to go for it and score here, well, that explains all the dumbass play calling. Be conservative. You've got Kamara and you've got Ingram, good running backs. Run the fucking ball, set it up for the field goal, and be done. Play smart. Like you said, Zach, ask the Falcons how it works out when you're in a position.
No, not just the Falcons. Ask the Seahawks. Remember their blown Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Exactly.
Could have just given Marshawn Lynch the ball, but no, you didn't.
Yeah. And sometimes you get too smart for yourself, and it sounds like that's what happened to the Saints, and now they're really pissed off about it. I have no sympathy at all anymore, because when you start going this far with it, that means that you have lost grip of reality. That's just way out of perspective. They've just got to shut up and go away. Get over it.
And boy, guess what? I'm already fucking sick of the Patriots again.
What's up?
Oh my God.
We're still here. Still here.
That is exactly it, Greg. Did you not see the Super Bowl send off for them, Mike?
No, I didn't.
Tom Brady wanted to close it out by going up there, said, "Hey, and just to remind, everybody, let's remind them all, we're still here. We're still here."
Well,
and with his look on his face, like he had been so royally discounted and forgotten and cast aside, the poor underdog. Shut up.
I blame Greg. Greg, you got him mad. You buried him, and he's been fuming about your hot take all year.
Well, you know what? He can fuck right off, because I'm okay with him taking it out on the field, but just shut up, dude. When I saw an interview with him after the NFC Championship game, it finally clicked with me what I really don't like about him. He always sounds like a little kid. And it's not like a put on like Russell Wilson. I think this is legitimately his personality, but he seems like he's a 14-year-old. Joe Montana would have never done that. I'm just saying. Never would have acted like that.
Friendly reminder for all you still on the fence for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady kisses his kids on the mouth.
That's right. Don't forget that.
Never forget that Tom Brady kisses his children straight on the lips. Like a real weirdo.
This is really the most important one of all, guys. Who will win the 14th edition of the Puppy Bowl? Will it be Team Fluff or Team Rough?
Ooh, well, that's always a tough call every year.
I'm going to go with Team Fluff.
I think because they play a finesse game, and sometimes that works. Team Rough can get a little too aggressive. That'll make the penalties work. And Team Fluff, I'm going with Team Fluff.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the starting lineup for the Puppy Bowl. If you want to, scroll through this at your own leisure, you're welcome to.
What about the Kitten Bowl? Cat's always at the short end of this shit,
isn't it?
Huh?
Isn't that the halftime of the Puppy Bowl? Is the Kitten Bowl?
I don't know how it works
Isn't that how they do that? I don't know. But here, your Puppy Bowl. You got your Team Fluff. German short-haired pointer, Alvin.
Hey.
Anna, an Australian cattle dog.
Good-looking participants here.
Barry, who's a treeing Walker coonhound.
Those coonhounds are the best, man.
Bear is an American Stafford Terrier. What else?
Look at the Dalmatian.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. So it's Corgi. That's Her Majesty's dog there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so team Fluff, Team Rough.
That's what happens if you displease the queen. She feeds you to the corgis.
Right, exactly. She got in a car accident.
Yeah.
Her Majesty did, yes, and apologized profusely. She's 97, Her Majesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, let's move to the game so we can wrap this bad boy up.
The game itself, the big game, the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 53, your AFC champion, New England Patriots, here yet again, their 9th trip.
Jesus. That's the most,
last
right?
15 years. Well, they have 11 total now.
Yeah, because they've got the two pre-Brady Belichick.
Right.
Yeah, I think Brady and Belichick on their own have more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Again, back-to-back years. They are 5-4 or 5-3 in their previous Super Bowls.
Right.
Going up against the NFC champion Los Angeles Rams, just their 3rd season back in the City of Angels. This is only their 4th Super Bowl, right? Or 3rd?
4th.
one in the 70s, right? And then you had
the two, 99 and 2001.
The Greatest Show on Turf teams. And of course, that second one was the one that started the whole Patriots dynasty.
Yep.
And here we are. You know, you got the old veterans in the greatest quarterback of all time, unfortunately, Tom Brady, and the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick, going up against the young upstarts, the child genius, Sean McVay.
Who is how old again?
17.
Right, exactly. He'll get younger as the game goes on too. By the third quarter, it'll be like 3-year-old Sean McVay,
18-month-old. 3P Besson, Sean McVay. I think that's of all the matchups that we can go through in the game. I think that is the most interesting to me is the McVay-Belichick chess match, because McVay has been heralded as this new young mind, so creative in what he does. Mm-hmm. This is his biggest test yet, going up against the evil genius himself in Bill Belichick.
The Emperor Palpatine of the NFL.
The thing that worries me the most about this is that Belichick has got 2 weeks to work on this. You know, that's too much time for him. Mm-hmm. And he's really good coach. I mean, there's no arguing that. But McVay's also got 2 weeks to work on the Patriots. And I've been saying it throughout the playoffs. I'm going to say it again. On paper, talent for talent, the Rams are the better team. No question about it. But that doesn't matter because we're talking about the Patriots. It doesn't matter if they're good or not. They just win. So I don't know.
I'm done underestimating this Patriots team. Like, you just look at what they've done so far. They just know how to win. I like Zach, I'm very interested in the coaching matchup. I think it's really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how McVay stacks up with Belichick in terms of the coaching matchups, and I think it's also going to be really interesting to see if McVay's inexperience is going to be like a hindrance or an asset. That's honestly the thing I'm really, really excited for. Like I was telling Zach off mic, the two things that there are two potential ways for this game to go that I'd be happy with. Either I want to see a great game, or I want to see a Rams blowout. But if it's a Patriots blowout, then it's just going to be a slog towards the inevitable.
Yeah. I don't think it will be. I really think it's going to be a good game. The thing is, McVay is his first time, and I've never been there, so I don't know. I'm just going from what players and coaches have said, but nothing prepares you for the Super Bowl except being in the Super Bowl, and that's where the Patriots have a huge advantage. Is that this is no big deal to them anymore. But for as great as they are, for as much as they win, their Super Bowl record isn't. I mean, it isn't off the charts great. What, they're 5-3? They can't be beat.
I mean, yeah, but then again, saying the team that has 5 rings,
Well, I'm looking at this in terms of that game.
Short.
I know, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that like last year, I would have never expected the Eagles to beat them of all teams. The Eagles, I thought this, if there was going to be a Patriots blowout, I thought it would be last year.
Yeah, but again, that was a really rare case of Nick Foles playing the perfect game, having the perfect game plan and executing it perfectly, and then they still needed a miracle strip sack near the end. Yeah. So that's the thing that worries me, is that I want the Rams to win this, but at the same time, it's even in the last Super Bowl, and we talked about this last week, in the last Super Bowl, it was a minor miracle that the Eagles pulled off what they pulled off. And you look at this team, and you look at the past Super Bowls that this Patriots team has lost, the two against the Giants. And it was those both, required remarkable plays to happen. So I'm just done underestimating this Patriots team. I think they're going to go in there, and I think they're going to give the Rams a game. I think whether or not they can beat the Rams is entirely going to be on how McVay is actually able to deal with Belichick as far as coaching goes. Because, like, when it comes to the prospect of who's going to coach the better game, like Bill Belichick versus Andy Reid, that's no contest. It's like Bill Belichick. But, like, Sean McVay, I think, is a guy who's smart enough that he could hang with Belichick. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not Belichick takes advantage of his inexperience, or if he kind of gets like blinded by the lights of being in the Super Bowl. Right. So like, as much as I say I'd like a Rams blowout, I don't think it's going to happen, because this is the Super Bowl and this is the Patriots, and they're going to put up a good game, and you really just and their 3 losses, I think, have only proven that in order to beat them, you just got to be really lucky.
Right. I think the key in all these losses is beyond being lucky, is they went up against a team whose defense slowed them down enough. Right. Yeah. So I think beyond the coaching matchup, I think the real key, the key unit to this whole game is the Rams defense.
Absolutely, especially the defensive line.
Because I think one way or another, I think the Rams are going to be able to move the ball on offense. They're going to be able to run the ball. I'm confident they'll be able to do that. And if they can do that, then Goff can get in a rhythm. I don't know. The Patriots defense, sure, has stepped up and gotten stops, but they haven't been a real game-changing unit. I can't remember in the times that I've seen them too many, ball hawking safeties or cornerbacks looking for interceptions or a stand-up defensive line that's really getting to the backfield. They play defense and they can't stop you, but they're not like
they're not dominant. They're not like in a dominant imposing defense like say Chicago has. And I agree. I think that the key to the whole game is if the Rams can do what the Giants did the 2 times, which is get in Brady's face, knock him around, that's their best shot.
I mean, the whole thing for me that kind of factors into this is, do we see the Rams team that lived up to their potential, that was able to have a really dynamic offense and a defense that, lived up to its potential? Or are we going to see something like the Rams that we saw in like the late regular season, where they played Philadelphia and Chicago and they came out flat and Goff like kind of regressed a bit? Like
I think what we've seen, and we kind of saw it right away after those 2 games, when Gurley went down, they got C.J. Anderson and they committed to running the ball, and that showed up in the final 2 games of the regular season. It showed up against the Cowboys in a big way. And again, the defense was a key to helping them win in New Orleans. And in that game, Jared Goff at the beginning didn't have to do a whole lot. The running game was able to get them going. But in the fourth quarter, that final drive in the fourth quarter, and on that overtime drive, he stepped up and made some huge plays under pressure. So I think this team has kind of morphed even since those late season losses to kind of rediscover and find their North Star again in a way. They're not the world burning, high octane team that they were, for the majority of last year and even at the beginning of this year. I think another big question mark for the Rams, at least, and how this game's going to go, is what Todd Gurley are you going to get? Are you going to get the guy that is a game changer, that was an MVP candidate, or are you going to get the guy that's kind of gotten pushed to the shadows in the last couple of games?
Well, I think, too, that Gurley's health, I don't think he ever really fully got back to 100%.
He says that he's 100% okay, but I don't believe that for a second.
But he's had 2 weeks, so we'll see. And to see if he's back to 100%. The big keys of the game, and Goff, how's he going to react to, the Super Bowl spotlight? He could, if he steps up, I like the Rams' chances, but we know what the Patriots can do. We know what they're going to do. That's, they're not going to throw a whole lot of new wrinkles at you, They're going to do what they do. To me, if the Rams, again, if they can get the pressure on with Fowler and Donald and Sue, And if that's huge. That makes all the difference. That's how the Giants did it both times.
And the key there too is not only are they going to have to get that pressure, because if they're pushing those guys up front, you're going to be in man-to-man. And that's the way they have to beat the Patriots, is get that pressure and then go to man-to-man. You can't play the zone behind that. And then and
you've got this corner, the like Talib and Peterson, those guys, they've got to step up. It's simple.
Yeah, and Talib's had success against the Patriots, and he played for the Patriots too at some point. It's kind of just getting that pressure and then locking down on Edelman, and Gronk had a great end of the game against KC, but I don't think you can expect that from Gronk all the time.
I don't. Yeah, KC doesn't have a great linebacking core either. I don't know if they've got guys that could cover Gronk.
Yeah,
I mean, KC is like they had a decent pass rush and that was it, and they couldn't get to Brady. I mean, that was the biggest problem in the game for them. So,
the other thing to look for on the Patriots side of the ball is Sony Michel has been a great addition for them, over the course of the year, where they've been able to run the ball a bit better. And so I think this game could end up getting slowed down more than people are thinking.
Exactly.
Because you'll have two teams that are trying to just grind it out and control the clock, which wouldn't be too unlike the first time these two teams played in the Super Bowl back in 2001.
Yep.
So I mean, there's so many interesting matchups. I'm looking at it purely from my perspective on the Rams side of things, but I'm seeing like, okay, how can the Rams win this? How can they do that? I think at the end of the day, the thing that you can't just discount is it's still Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
It's still the Patriots. And, for all of the fact that I hate that we're still here and that sort of Boston arrogance that's embodied by this team, this organization, they've earned it to an extent, right?
Oh, absolutely. They've earned it. So who we picking? Mike?
Well, we can get mine out of the way pretty quick. We know who I'm picking.
Right.
There's no way around it. I've ridden this team from day one. It's the Rams. I think they have the defensive personnel to execute the game plan that you need to play to beat the Patriots. And I think they showed that, especially in this game against Drew Brees 2 weeks ago. They showed off that type of game plan. Now, of course, they showed that game plan off the game before they had to play the Patriots, so the Pats can sit there and dissect it maybe. But
here's the key too. If by chance they pull in Atlanta and they get out big on the Patriots, they have got to keep the hammer down, and I think that'll be the difference between Sean McVay and whoever that idiot was that was coaching the Falcons. I can't even think of who it was now.
Dan Quinn?
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. But in that situation, the Rams are a much better running team than that Falcons team ever was.
True.
So at that point in the game, and especially, again, how they've kind of played the game over the last 4 games now, they can run the ball with that two-headed C.J. Anderson, Todd Gurley attack and get things going. And I like the way the defense is played. I like the identity this offense has assumed. I think Sean McVay is just a smart ass guy.
Well,
but I also don't think this is going to be a blowout, one way or the other. I don't think that's going to be the case. It's going to be a battle, but I got to stick with my guys. I got to stick with the Rams, and I'm going to say 28-24.
Mike? That's funny. Your score is 1 point away from my prediction, Zach.
I'm going to change it. I'm going to say 27-24.
Okay.
Two field goals for the Rams.
I think I'm really high on this Rams team. I picked them last year to win the division, which was kind of a surprise pick, and they ended up doing it. And I've been with them so far. That being said, I don't know, man. Like, something about this Pats team, like I know you mean you can say, oh, like they've already lost the Super Bowl 3 times, but like I think what those 3 losses have proven is that you've got to play the perfect game to beat them, and I don't know. It's a difficult thing.
I hear what you're saying, Mike, because this is the reason that I picked the Patriots to make the Super Bowl in the first damn place, right? You pick them to win until they lose. The only reason I'm picking against them is because it's my team on the other side of it.
Yeah. And so I got I don't know. This is one of the cases where my heart wants the Rams, but my head's picking the Patriots. So I'm gonna pick the Patriots and hope I'm wrong.
Score?
I'm terrible at these. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna be super boring. I'm gonna say 35-28 New England.
Okay. I want the Rams to win. I think we've laid out in great detail exactly how the Rams can do it. But like Mike, my heart wants one thing, my head says another, and I've been picking against them all year, and they've been proving me wrong, so maybe this works in the opposite direction. I take the Patriots 28-23 and what's going to be a really good game, and I think that the Patriots win. I don't want them to, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Oh, boy. Okay.
But like I said, I picked against them all year, and look what happens. So I'm picking them now, so maybe, just maybe, that'll be the key. We'll see. But anyway, on that note, folks, we are going to wrap it up. Enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday, and we will see you with Super Bowl analysis and all that other stuff. You can follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and the YouTubes. And if you are so inclined, you can also find us on Facebook. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Go Rams.
Go Rams.
Go Rams.
Go Rams.
Super Bowl, go Rams.